Welcome to the Sacred Magic Show. Bring in the mystical and the sacred for healing with my good friend, Dr. Georgia Herrera, and myself, Dr. Sharon Martin, on transformationtalkradio.com. In this live call-in show, you will witness the shifting of energies that bring about your transformation beyond your wildest dreams. Feel the answers to your most important questions flow into your heart as it opens to a new world of possibility. Together, Dr. Georgia, coming from the heavenly and angelic realms, and myself, Dr. Sharon, coming in from the deep realms of the earth, create an unstoppable powerhouse of sacred magic that has the power to enliven, activate, shift, transmute, and transform the challenges ever present in your life. You are now entering the hub for love and acceptance. The Sacred Magic Show starts now. Yup, Sacred Magic Show here. This is exciting. I'm Dr. Sharon. I'm here with Dr. Georgia. And we're on a new time zone or time slot. So for East Coast, you're already started your morning, and we will bring you tidbits on how to maximize your life. And West Coast, you're either driving, showering, dressing, maybe you're working remotely and you just logged on. But anyway, Dr. Georgia, tell us who we are and what we do and what we're all about.
Well, Dr. Sharon and I also are work in the magical realms, the spiritual realms, and we help people heal from traumas that they've had or blockages so they can move forward. And I do that physically when I'm in Roswell, Georgia, and we do that on the phone as well. And with the radio show, you get a sample of what it's like to work with two people that have really worked on themselves and have helped many, many people physically and emotionally and spiritually.
So we are a live call-in show, 1-800-930-2819. Dr. Georgia and I are respectively chiropractor and physician. So we know what it's like to be struggling in health, but we're also pretty well steeped in the mystical and spiritual traditions. So when you call in, and we really want you to call in, we have intuitive hits, we have energetics that we can apply, and it's only a sampling because we're a limited time slot, but we think we can help you get started on whatever decision. You're at a choice point, you want to shift something, maybe you just want some insight. But regardless, today we're going to talk about magic. Dr. Georgia, why do we care about magic? Isn't that like a little bit too much like a Disney character on a film? I mean, why do we care about magic?
Because magic is the fun in life. Magic is what helps move things and makes dreams come true. And it's connecting into life force. Magic is a form of life force. And when you connect into that realm, you open yourself up for miracles. And we need miracles all the time, especially with everything the world's going through right now. It's a time to connect into the magic of the world and everything that's there. And there's magic in everything, in the herbs, in the stones, in the sky, in the ocean. And anyone that goes to the ocean or the mountains can feel it in their system. Even the beauty itself is not the only thing that moves us. It's also the energy there. And when we work on the energy realm, we can make things happen really fast.
So magic is a very powerful energetic current. It is actually one of the foundational building blocks of the universe, and its whole way of being is alchemical. So that's when you stir things up and out come possibilities you would have never predicted. It's like you make an equation and you want to say A plus B goes to C, but you end up at M or P or Q because magic punts you over outside of time and space into a reality of alchemical possibilities, limitless. So when we talk about magic, and that's what we want to talk about today, and bringing it into our lives, it's really asking for a time to step out of the usual constructs. And we're in constructs all the time. Dr. Georgia, you know, in your chiropractic work and network spinal analysis, people have constructs of thought and of their body. Tell us a little more about that, because you can be locked in, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. And it's very obvious, even with somebody that's not used to feeling vibrations, you can feel on the spine when a person doesn't have life force there. It's stuck, it's heavy, it's thick, and it's not moving. And then when you go to an area in the body that has lots of magic, life force, Holy Spirit in it, it's vibrant and it's movable and flexible and changes with life versus just being stuck. And what we have in our body is also what we have in our life. So if we're stuck in our body, we're stuck in our life as well.
As a physician, especially in these last few years with the pandemic and everybody's fear about viruses and their immune system, we have a lot of times what I see in my clinic, patients who are stuck. And they're stuck not only in a disease process, but in the way they think about themselves and their diseases. Yeah. So you end up, there are patients who actually are defined by how many diagnoses they have, or that you can see a little sense of pride when somebody starts listing off the fact that they're allergic to 30 different medicines. You would think that's an odd thing to be proud about, but it's sort of as if the diagnoses have become merit badges that you accumulate. But that's a stuck way of thinking because you're defined then by that construct of belief. Oh, I am a person always with low back pain. I am a person who can never take any medicine. It'll never help me because I'm allergic. When you say those kind of never and I'm always, my red flags go up. Don't yours, Georgia? When somebody's... Mm-hmm.
And I have compassion because I understand. We like things to feel predictable and normal. And when we have all of these issues that we're attached to, it keeps us small. And that feels as if we can control things. And then we have all these reasons not to move forward in our life.
It is very secure to be in a known space, to be in your cave. But when that cave is a cage, if you start to taste the possibilities and you're not afraid to cut the bars, open the doors, and when you, and I'll bring this back to magic in a minute, when you're able to see that it's okay for you to try on new things, I mean that energetically, spiritually, choices in your life, the expansion can feel overwhelming and scary, but it also has unbelievable potential for growth. So we're here to help you step out of any cage you're in, fly. We're all about flying. Or lying solidly on the earth. I'm very much an earth girl, but we want you to call in because we can help. We're good at energy, we're good at spiritual, and we're good at the literal world healing modalities of chiropractic and physician. So 1-800-930-2819. And Dr. Georgia, let's take a short break. And when we come back, let's talk about allow. Now, remember, everybody, if you're able to, call in 1-800-930-2819, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Welcome back to Sacred Magic with Dr. Georgia and Dr. Sharon. We are going to talk about how to allow magic in your life and to allow your life to become fantastic.
You know, not everybody believes that it can be fantastic. That's a hard thing for people to let their whole energy and physical being be in joy. We've not been taught it. We haven't had it modeled to us. And if we watch the news, everywhere it is, there's no joy anywhere if you pay attention, and that's what you believe. So how are we going to allow?
And some of us are used to honoring families by going into the unhappiness and staying there, that vibration of the unhappiness, and they feel that's honoring. When when you open up to joy within difficult experiences, that's when you start seeing more clarity, more insights, and you start filling up your own cup. And then you have more energy and love to give others and process any trauma or pain. So it's important to see where we don't allow happiness in. And that's everyone does that somewhere in their life, and some people everywhere in their life. And I'll feel it in people's bodies when I do their examination, when they feel stuck and they feel safer with feeling unhappy, that part of their body can't move. And it's the same thing when I'm talking to them with the phone sessions. If they're really connected with their misery, with their trauma, with their story, what I'm hearing is they need more validation. They need more understanding and compassion to know how that somebody else sees how much pain there has been. But what I help them do is find that within themselves and to be that compassionate to themselves. And then from there, doors fly open.
Well, you know, I think one of the things, it's scary to recognize when your family or your situation is dysfunctional, because it sort of speaks to, well, does that mean it's me? If I'm genetically related, does that mean it's me? Or am I going to lose my connection if I change too much?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to put separation? And so that's a hard thing for people to do, to find a different way within the dynamic of trauma and dysfunction. But if you can find it in allowing spirit in, which allows the highest vibration of love, which allows magic, that is a connector. So you don't get separation, you actually connect on a deeper level, seeing things where there are possibilities of goodness instead of the yuck you've usually been seeing. So, Georgia, let's talk a minute more about how do you allow. And remember, everybody listening, we are a live call-in show. If you want our help on something, we're here. That's what we do. 1-800-930-2819. So, Georgia, how do you allow something like energetically and spiritually? And do you have to be careful when you allow that you don't get things you really don't want?
Yeah, that's very important thing to learn. The first thing is to see where we have fear, where we have resistance to magic and joy and love coming in, and to see it and go towards it. Don't be afraid of yourself. And when you feel it, have that compassion of, I developed these walls. I developed this resistance for a reason. And go into that reason, go into that vibration, breathe into it, validate, shake it out of your body, and tap in to the vibration of love, joy, and happiness. And you can do that by thinking of a moment that felt happy for you, a moment where you felt loved or you felt spiritually connected, and you tap into that vibration and that experience that you've had, your own reference, because you always want to be where you are, not where you think you should be. And tap into that and open that up. And from there, you can move that energy into the new area where you want to open up.
For me also, I'm going to expand on this a little, if I may.
Please.
To overcome that fear of opening, and first, let's talk a minute about what does it mean to open. And the way you can understand this is best, as Georgia said, when you feel it. You can feel when your energy field and your heart open to allow. It's a release of a tightness. You can actually breathe a sigh of relief. But sometimes people won't let that armor off or that tightness off because of fear. And you have a very real point here. There are not so good energies out there. But remember, there is a fundamental law in the universe, spiritually speaking, and that is you are in charge of your energy field. That is yours and yours alone. So you can say that you are protected. You can say, this is me. To any bad energies out there, you can't come in. So then you can open, and you open by a feeling. The best way, as Georgia said, you remember something. When did you actually feel your heart lift or expand and feel that golden light? It's a warm, beautiful feeling. You can start as simple as, you had a puppy once. Remember how beautiful that was and how much you loved it. Or you sat at the beach at sunset and how gorgeous that was and how much you loved it. Those feelings are ways that you can open. So what are you opening to? Georgia, what are you opening to?
Well, a lot of people are afraid, like you said, of opening to bad things. But honestly, God and love and happiness, it is what it is. It's how it feels. Darkness, heaviness, that is a particular vibration. So we don't get tricked like some people think we do. It's more of opening to that sensation within you that you can trust. If, like you said, Sharon, if it feels good and if it feels expansive, that's how you know it's beautiful. And especially if words of wisdom and clarity come through you, oh, game on. That's what you want to go towards. If it's wisdom and love, it's grace, it's love. That is a present to celebrate, to go deep into. And if it sounds weird and twisted and feels heavy, you just back away. You don't need to go there unless it's your own internal emotional work. And then from there, you get the heavy emotional work and you surround it with all that love vibration and validation. And then from there, you can create an opening and a safety so you can go into your emotions. But heavy emotions in yourself is very different compared to a darkness in the world. And as you practice these things, you start to feel the different vibrations. Dr. Sharon, I could just talk about this forever. There's so many things for people to know and have fun and explore, and ways they can use this in their life. How can people use this in their life?
Well, I was sitting here thinking, like, how do you know if something is really feeling good? If you're in your head and you're analyzing and you're going back and forth, and is this or isn't this? 9 times out of 10, it's not good. It's a trickster energy out there. If it's good for you, you feel it in your body. And that's kind of the basis of muscle kinesthetic testing, is your arm and your muscles are strong when you're in the presence of something that's good with your field. So the allowing is really a feeling. If you're going into a situation and you kind of feel not good, is that just because you're afraid and you have lack of self-confidence? Or is this really not bringing something good for you? That does take practice, but the point here is for allowing. And when you allow the openings, and the openings allow the high energy of spirit, especially the energy of magic, then you can shake things up and transform. And Georgia, that's what we do in our lives, don't we? We help people transform.
Absolutely. On a constant basis. And I teach people all the time how to bring this magic into their marriages, their relationships, with parenting, in their jobs. I hear on a regular basis how people feel they want to be around more conscious people, and they're in the corporate world where they feel like they can't express themselves, and there's a lot of negativity and people being mean to them. So I tell them all kinds of fun things to do, and it's all in the vibration of love. And people, one by one, have switched entire corporations. And these are top people. These are top of on the ladder of success. And they're switching their corporations. And by doing that, they're switching the world. So there's all kinds of things. And I have a very simple way to practice, and that's picking your fruit or your food by feeling, what is this going to do for me? When you hold the food, you're at the grocery store, like connecting with it. How is this going to affect my body? How is this going to affect my attitude in life? And when you tap into that, you start feeling the magic in there. And there's a million different ways to do that. We can even do that with vacation spots. How is this going to affect my life if I go vacation to the beach versus the mountains, or on a family trip? That's an example. Please contribute.
Good. Let's talk more about that, but we're going to take a short break. And remember, everybody, we're a live call-in show, 1-800-930-2819. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. We're back. This is Sacred Magic. I'm Dr. Sharon here with my good friend, Dr. Georgia. And the whole point of our show is to really show you that with channeling, harnessing, aligning with the magical realm, and I mean that in a spiritual way, high spiritual energy, you can transform your life. And that's what we're all about. So if you want our help on something before the end of this show today, call us 1-800 930-2819. So Georgia, what is it that when we say let's allow magic in, what are we actually asking to allow in?
Well, it can be as simple as going into the forest and connecting into the very clean vibration there that helps us think easily. But there's also those that have gone before us and have transformed themselves, or a vibration that is the vibration of love and wisdom. So when we connect into a high being, we get those gifts that they want to give us freely. And some people will connect into, let's say, their relatives that just passed, but usually they haven't worked on themselves that much. Uncle Bob, all his big issues he had when he was here, he probably still has a lot of them on the other realm. And it's not something you always want to tap into. If you are going to tap into ancestors, you want it to be high vibrational people that have done their work. But as I've said before on the show, I work with Jesus and Mary a lot, and the vibration of God. So if I have an issue going on, which issues are constant all the time, I tap into their vibration, or I call their name and I say, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I'll have something smart come to my head. It doesn't have to be this big booming voice that we think we need to hear. It can be very simple, and you can solve problems a lot easier. And you always want to start with easy things. Like we talked about earlier in the show, how to pick your food. Another great one is how to pick your clothes for the day. Because we can't understand everything that's going to happen for the day. But when we tap into an ascended master, we open for greater wisdom and happiness. And then you get synchronicities constantly in the day. And that's just fun for everyone. Everybody loves to see all of those instincts, intuitions happen throughout their day. What do you say, Sharon?
Well, when I tap in, my training is mostly, my spiritual training has been mostly from energy medicine and shamanism. So shamanic approaches are very animistic. So what does that mean? It means that every creature and living thing on the earth has life force and has spiritual value. So for me, I've always been a nature girl. I've always loved to tap into the feelings of nature, working in the garden, and you just get a sense that this is a good place to put this tomato plant. And those kind of allies from a shamanic point of view are usually thought of as power animals. For years, and I started my shamanic training maybe back, I'm going to say 2006, 2005. But anyway, those power animals were very helpful to me, especially the jaguar. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and I allowed the energy of jaguar. So what does it mean to allow? When you line up yourself, when you ally yourself with a higher vibrational being, and the archetype of jaguar is by its nature a high vibrational being, then you are asking for those characteristics, those awarenesses to line up with your energy field. And by working with that, by connecting with that, you are shifting your energy field. So I have had numerous mystical experiences where the jaguar has, in my dream time, has led me to know something. The archetype of jaguar is very good at tracking, very good sense of smell and sight. So in the darkness in the forest, being able to find what it needs to find. So you can allow an alliance with something, and you want to pick something that's known to be higher spiritual nature, angels, celestial beings, Mother Mary, Master Jesus, or even literally the magical kingdoms. And those are fairies, gnomes, dragons, mermaids, the coven of trees. Those all have energetic characteristics that you can learn from. So, Georgia, besides Master Jesus and Mother Mary, do you have any other in the magical realm that you connect with?
Well, what I do, since I am a master channeler, what I've had to do is have Jesus and Mary as my managers. So anything that comes through, I take it to them and present it. And I say, do I use this energy? Do I let it come through? And if it's of love, I mean, I'm talking even my grandma, my lovely grandma that passed, she has to go through my managers. And if it feels like love coming through, something beneficial, that's when I open after I've gotten the okay of yes. And then also I'll hit Jesus's voice in my mind will give me this sensation of yes, this is good for me, and this is all the reasons why it's going to be good. So just to go back to what you were saying, this is a little bit of a segment. A really fun thing to practice this with is finding things. You talked about finding with the Jaguar energy, finding our keys, finding that piece of paper. I've been traveling a lot, looking for the passport, and using the energies to find things. So for me, every single time I ask Mother Mary, where do I find this thing? And it comes to me in my mind, some random place that's just not even possible for me to think about. And it happens constantly. And it makes it fun. It makes it like you have a best friend inside all the time that's much smarter than you. And that's amazing because we need all the support we can get. What do you want to add to that, Dr. Sharon?
Well, I want to just tell one thing quickly, and then we'll take a break in about 2 minutes. George already has her relationship with Mary and Jesus. But what if you don't have a relationship yet? So that's when you sit in quiet time. If you have a place that you go, that you meditate, or you're in mindful relaxation, if you have an altar, or if you make one at the base of a tree on your nature walk, that's when you sit and you ask a being, an angel, an ascended master to come, a power animal to come be present with you. And you start a dialogue and you say, hi, I need your help. Would you participate? Sometimes you'll get the answer no. Sometimes you'll get, sorry, not today. You're too caught up in all this other stuff. But that's how you start to build a relationship. And if you do that and you sit and you ask for that presence and you begin the communication and you begin the dialogue, then you're starting to build an alliance. And when you build that alliance, that's how you allow their higher spiritual energy to absorb into your field, because you're opening to connection with them. And then you are transforming your field. And then you start to get the downloads and the intuitive hits. And then you make decisions that are more highly aligned with higher spiritual energy. So there's a little bit of a workflow that you do ahead of time. But anyway, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about allowing spirit and magic in. And remember, if you want our help in the last few minutes, 1-800-930-2819. We'll be back in a minute. Hi, everybody. We're back. Sacred Magic, Dr. Sharon and Dr. Georgia. And this is all about allowing the magic in. Because when you allow the magic, and we're also talking about high spiritual energy, that is an alchemy of transformation that doesn't happen in the material A joins to B, B joins to C world. This is where you shake it up and you get a possibility you maybe never even thought of. So we want to tell you a little bit more about how you go through your daily life, allowing the magic in, allowing the high spiritual energy in. Georgia, do you have examples?
Yeah, another simple one is driving and figuring out, do I turn left or do I turn right? And if we go into our old trauma patterns and make decisions from there, we'll hurt ourselves and we will make the decision of something that keeps us feeling the same way we usually do. So if you're used to things feeling badly, you will make the decisions to get lost. And then if you open up and decide you want your life to run smoother, you start tapping in to a higher being or something higher, a higher wisdom. And when you do that, you'll start feeling, oh, this feels happy. So if I turn right, this is going to get me to my destination and I'm going to get there early. And that's something that's uncomfortable at first to develop that inner connection. But the more you do, the better. And just to add to that, when you're connecting into different vibrations, you do want it to feel good. And you can also say things to keep it simple. I call upon, let's say you want to call on saints. I call upon the saints that are for my highest good and happiness and joy. You know, so that way you don't call on just anybody. Or if you're calling upon mermaids, you want to call mermaids that have my greatest joy and divine being.
I'll give an example of how I started in my daily life. And again, as I said, I've had a lot of anxiety and apprehension in situations, and I've felt awkward, and then I get my guard up. But I allied first with the Jaguars, and I live in rural South Central Pennsylvania, and driving to work, oftentimes half of the year it's in the dark in the morning when I go, and there are a lot of deer. And I just decided that I was going to ask my dragons for help getting me to work safely. And this will tell you how much anxiety I had. I have 3 Jaguars that I am very close to. So I didn't just have one, I had to have 3. But anyway, so I asked them to run alongside of the car on either side with me and growl, the only way I could visualize it, growl loud enough that the deer heard and didn't run towards the road. Well, they don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that whole visualization. But I asked for that kind of help because the Jaguars had courage and they had the ability to clear the path in front of me, things that I didn't feel confident enough in. And now that becomes a natural part of me when I start my drive in the morning. I don't even have to say, okay, you guys, I'd like you to come be here. And would you please go do this? I just say, all right, we're ready. Let's go. Those are the relationships you build, and they are energies that you then are amplifying in yourself. So we do have high spiritual energies in ourselves. We're just not utilizing them all the time. So when you ally with a saint, when you ally with Master Jesus, when you ally with a jaguar or a dragon, you are getting connections to those energies that perhaps you don't have or you don't think you have. And then you are restoring them, amplifying them, magnifying them. Georgia, can you add anything to that?
Yeah. Talking about different beings, everything has a vibration and everything has a spirit. And when we're not used to that thinking, it can be scary to think about that everything is alive and everything has its own vibration. And we can tap into that. We, especially in America, we like to think of ourselves as the only thing alive and nothing else really even matters. And there's not a lot of meaning and energies and everything, but really everything has its vibration. So you can pull in different energies that you need, and you don't have to be afraid that is this God or not, because everything is God, everything, and everything is alive. And it truly is as simple as just feeling, does this feel right for me? And we can tell if it makes us feel heavy or bitter or extra angry, that means it's not good for you. But if it's adding to your life by bringing happiness, go for it, run with it.
Well, I'm going to amend that for me anyway. I never did easily move from my past, which was pretty dysfunctional, into happiness. Happiness seemed like something so far out there. But I got first to content. So if you can't jump immediately to happiness, just an absence of yuck is good enough.
I love it.
And even in picking the clothes you wear for the day, I love earrings, and I love, for example, I have on a pair of amber earrings. I love amber. So picking your clothes, your colors, your ornamentals, are you a person who loves watches, so you wear a different watch? Those kinds of things. My brother loves his shoes. He has to dress with, and he's got all these different pairs of shoes, more pairs than I have. But anyway, those are the ways you allow. So Georgia, we have 2 minutes left before we close up. So let's just, what do people need to know about magic and about allowing in spirit, which magic is spirit?
A lot of us need to clean our spaces energetically and physically. And when you start straightening up your house, straightening up your room, your car, you open energies to move easier. And even by just touching everything, you help it become alive. So you're touch everything in your house and straighten it out, put love on it, and bring these high vibrations that we've been talking about into your house. And when you have more of this in your life and in your house, it's easier to tap into more often. What would you add to that, Dr. Sharon?
I think the first step is the willingness to hook up with these higher vibrational energies. And then the feeling into it, if it feels like it's a good energy or not. Little by little, you build those relationships. And when you are allowing these expanded energies in, your possibilities expand. How your path unfolds expands, the choices you have, and your contentment and subsequently joy and happiness with your life expands. So that's what we're all about here on Sacred Magic. We're all about giving you some tips, sharing what we've learned over the years and energetically hoping to help you bring in a more glorious life. So, Georgia, do you have anything to say as we close?
Yes, if anyone wants to go into a private session, we can do that. You just go to my website or go to my Instagram at sacredmotherhealing.com, or you look up Sacred Mother Healing Center to find me, and we can do this one-on-one. And what about you, Dr. Sharon? How would people contact you for this?
So my website, and that will have my email on there, drsharonmartin.com, drsharonmartin.com. And we are energy movers, we are intuitives, and we are healers, and we're here for you. That's the whole purpose. So thank you for joining us today on Sacred Magic. And be sure you let some magic and high spiritual vibration in your life today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for listening to the Sacred Magic Show, bringing in the mystical and sacred for healing with myself, Dr. Georgia Herrera, and my friend, Dr. Sharon Martin, airing every third Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific. Come back and continue to witness Dr. Georgia, myself, and Dr. Sharon as we shift energy to bring about transformations beyond your wildest dreams. Tap into the magic and sacred nature of angels, plants, colors, stones, and many other energetic vibrations for powerful shifts and healing on transformationtalkradio.com.